All right, what up? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Blindside Sports. And we are back. All right, episode 51. We are here. I'm telling you, man, football season just it makes me want to pipe out the episodes. So we're doing that today. Um, very good show today. So without further ado, let's get into it. My name's Emmett Douglas, the host of this program. Get me on Twitter at EmmettNoC04. Jam-packed episode today, and it's not just these picks we're going to be talking about. We also we have, let's see, NBA owner stuff to talk about. We have Micah Parsons ghosting Undisputed. That's a funny one. We all talk about Trey Lance hitting up parties with strippers. I mean, there's so much to get to, and that's the beauty of football season and all of this. But the first stat here, or the first thing I want to get into, is really fast before we kind of hop into this here was that Canelo fight. Man. I mean, the first half was like Canelo dominated. I mean, Canelo Alvarez basically just like for the first like half of that fight, it was Canelo Alvarez's fight. I mean, the second half, I mean, it was still like Canelo's fight, but Triple G really started to fight, put his twist in there, and stuff like that. And it was a unanimous win, very close in the scoring. It was an interesting fight. I do gotta say so myself. I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was very. I thought it was good. I thought it was cool to see that Canelo got another win on the Mexican Independence weekend. I thought that was really cool, and he was really like he dominated like that first like the first like few rounds. I'm like, oh god, this is even a competition, and then Triple G kind of started to pick it up and just go ham and kind of made the fight close. Like after like how he played, how he fought after this, like the first half of the fight, it was just like there's no way you can win it unless like something drastic happens. But like while the commentators was saying, like, look, this is just this is just pure like he like since he's old, the commentators basically like, look, this could be a stamina thing. He's trying to save his stamina so he can make it this far. I don't know about all of that. But yeah, it was a very interesting fight. I'm really starting to get into fight. So you might hear more fight talk, boxing, UFC, MMA, all of that. You might hear more of that on the show. So stay tuned for that. If you're a fan of the MMA, comment below, all right? All right. Having the notes open here. All right. Sorry about that. I'm a little distracted. I'm about to pull up the phone for the chat here because I have my notes open and it's a little hard. All right, it's a little hard. Trying to pull up the chat here. Make sure we don't miss anything. All right, cool. We're good. All right, now let's get into some football. How about it? All right, live chat. Hold on. I'm pulling the chat up so we can kind of, just in case someone feels the need to comment. All right. Now the first game, and if you are listening this in the past, you can hit me up on Twitter at EmmettNoC04, and if you agree with me, if you disagree, if you have something to say, I'm always on Twitter. All right, especially during football season, I'll respond to you, show some love, just hit me up. But without further ado, let's get into some picks. All right. Some games of note. The Colts and the Jags. The Colts are favored by 3 in this one with the over-under 45.5. I think this could be a very interesting matchup. And the reason why is the Colts are like their best receivers, like Ashton something. I don't even remember his name. Like Michael Pittman Jr. is out due to injury, which kind of sucks if you're a Colts fan. I mean, just a little bit. Michael Pittman Jr. is out with an injury. I mean, you also have Jonathan Taylor. You're missing like all your good receivers. So where's Matt Ryan going to throw the ball to? For the Jags side of things, I mean, you have both your guys back. Like the Jags are a very interesting team, and I think they're going to keep it close here in this game. Like it's going to be a close game, even without the Colts having like receivers. I still think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be like a scoring kind of like situation. But 45 is the over under. The Colts are favored by 3. I think they're gonna cover. Actually, nah. I think it's gonna be actually like a 3-point game. Actually, I think it's gonna be a 3-point game, or something like that. Probably. All right, we're going under here. I think this is like a trappy over under. I really think it is trappy. 45 is it's I don't know. Just something telling me to take the under, especially with the Colts not having receivers like that at the or not in their receiver at the moment. I mean, they still got Jonathan Taylor and all that, but it got so bad they had to promote like QD or whatever his name, Kiki QD. I think that's cute. I don't know how to say his name. No comments. All right, cool. Yeah, they had to promote him off the practice squad. So give me in that one 20-17, the Indianapolis Colts. Hawks Niners. Niners are favored by 9.5 points, and the over under is 40.5. Why do you expect those freaking Seahawks? Okay. Now this is a test. This is actually a very important game because this could be Trey Lance's season right here. I mean, for real. I mean, the Niners are like a Super Bowl like they are a Super Bowl ready to win now team. So like this is if Trey Lance does not play good against a Seahawks defense who isn't the best. I mean, it's kind of hard to get a read on them too. I mean, they had promising plays against Russell Wilson on Monday night, but it's kind of hard to get a read on everything with them. But look at like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Knight, like those guys can murk the Seahawks if they really tried. So this is a very important game for Trey Lance. 9.5 is the spread here, or the Hawks are underdog, 9.5 point underdogs. Oh, what do we do? The division games? I feel like, especially with the Seahawks, they're always split. Like the Niners always end up playing really well in one of them, and the Seahawks always end up playing really well in one of them. So, I think the 40.5 over under isn't even that far fetched. I mean, it's really not. I have my doubts in Geno Smith having 2 rock solid games in a row. I think that's gonna be interesting to see. But Hawks and Niners, I'm gonna take the over in points. Actually, they're really trying to get me to bait on this. I'm going against the spread, man. I don't think it's going to be like a 10-point game in terms of the Niners. I think it's going to be closer than that. Because like to cover the spread, it would have to be more than 9.5 games. But I still actually have the Niners. I have the Niners pulling that off, 24-17. We're barely going over the over under. Right there, we're barely going over for the over, like a half point for the over under. What's that? All right, Falcons Rams. This is another late window game. The Rams are favored by 10 in this one, and that's not even that like outlandish. The Falcons, I think they're going to get. I think Marcus Mariota is going to get obliterated by that defensive line. I think the Rams are going to come back ready to ball and ready to rumble. I think they are not taking any crap this game. I mean, you saw how bad they performed last weekend. Or last Thursday. I feel like that was a week 1 kind of recipe thing. I think especially playing the crappy Falcons. They are going to come back with revengeance. I don't expect this game to be good at all. Definitely Rams are going to cover here. 10-point favorites. It's going to be more than a 10-point game. So give me the Rams 34, Falcons 10. And that's the under. That's the under right there. Over under 46.5. I don't see much offense out of the Falcons this game. Wouldn't be shocked if we saw a couple of turnovers from Marcus Mariota, like in that offense, maybe a pick or two, fumble or two, stuff like that. But yeah, that's going to be a good game. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports, getting away from the Blindside bundle of games to go over to a funny story, all right? We're not going to have a funny story or a story that you can joke about, I guess, coming when we get to the NBA here. But Trey Lance, after this video got leaked after the embarrassing loss to the Chicago Bears, this video got leaked of Trey Lance at a party making it rain, all right? He had some adult dance. Him with an adult dancer. All right. We try to keep it PG on the show. If I ever get paid from this show, I don't want YouTube to yoink me for saying the word ripper out of ST, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, Trey Lance, he's kind of in a bad situation here because of what happened with the loss. And you may be wondering, well, Emmett, do you have any issues with this topic? Or do you have any issues with what Trey Lance did? Let's see if we have any comments. No, I don't. I really don't. And you're like, what? You're probably like, why? And the reason why I don't have an issue with what Trey Lance is doing is you think he's the only one? I mean, you don't want to. You have to be smarter about the videos, but at the same time, it's so hard with 2022. But I don't think Trey was hosting that party. But I've heard people say, haven't put their phones in the bins at the door. I'm like, no one's gonna agree to that, bro. I'm sorry, nobody's gonna agree to that. But Trey Lance, should he have been with this team? Okay, yeah, but there hasn't been any reports of him not being with his team. Who knows when this video was made? I haven't seen anything. If you guys are listening live right now, correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't know exactly when the party was thrown. But my point is here, is this is more common than we think. I mean, these players, it's a 22-year-old kid who has money. What do you expect him to do? I mean, what do you expect him to do? I mean, a young kid with money. Of course he's going to party. Of course that's all going to happen. I mean, come on. I'm not shocked at all. I mean, he should have been with his team and all that. I get it. He had the loss. But who cares, man? For real. I don't get it. I don't. It's just there's really, we have more serious situations, like at parties. Matt Ariza, for example, and Trey Lance is getting mainstream media. I don't have an issue with it. It's not that big of a deal. I don't know why it is. They're 22-year-old kids, all right? They are basically just out of college kids, and they got money now. These NFL players, they're gonna party hard, all right? Vikings Eagles is the next game I'm gonna get into. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports, coming from the Blindside Studios. Get me on Twitter at EmmettNoC04. Get me on TikTok at Blindside Sports 7. That's where I post old clips of the shows, and Instagram at Blindside Sports 00, where I'll be notifying you guys. Twitter and Instagram, I'll be notifying you guys whenever I plan to go live and do a show. What time it is, who the guest is and all of that. We actually have a very, very fun guest coming up, possibly in a couple of days here. I'm not going to spoil too much about it, but yeah, very fun guest. Yeah. All right. Just trust me. All right. Just trust it. Trust the process, if you will. But Vikings, Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 2.5. I'm gonna pick. All right, the over under 50 in this game, 50.5. This is gonna be a super good game. It's a doubleheader of the Monday night games. And you're maybe wondering, why aren't you using the trusty little iPhone over here to help you pick the games? I just decided, why not? Why not pull up? I saw some of these games pulled up right here. I might have to use the trusty iPhone for a couple games I forgot to research on before the show, and I just realized it going through my notes. But there's times where it's just like, it's more funny to ask her on the show. Like, I have a producer, but okay. Vikings, Eagles. The Vikings the Eagles are favored by 2.5 in this one. The over under is 50.5. This is going to be a very, very exciting Monday Night Football game. As you know, I'm very high on the Eagles, but both these teams have very explosive offenses. Can the Vikings stop Jalen Hurts from running? I really don't know. But then again, you have to wonder, can the Eagles stop Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins? I mean, they were explosive against one of the best defenses, arguably the Green Bay Packers. So can you stop that? I'm not really sure. The Eagles are favored by 2.5. I think this game's going to come down to the final minute, and I think it's going to be the over for sure. I'm going to bet against the spread here. 38-35. First upset alert, Minnesota Vikings. I think they're going to come to play. It's going to be a shootout. I don't expect much defense out of this game because two very explosive offenses. You got A.J. Brown versus Justin Jefferson. That's a very explosive wide receiver duo right there. Jalen Hurts is going to, he's basically the Eagles running back at this point. I mean, it was a shootout with the Lions for the Eagles last week. The Vikings put up a lot of points. You kind of expect it to be the same. These offenses are very high-fluted and powered, so why not, all right? It's going to be 38-35. They're not going to. No, there's going to be no cover, but I do have the Vikings pulling off the upset. That is our first upset alert of the show. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. Why don't we go? We're kind of going through the Blindside bundle here. Why don't we look at some fantasy players that I like, and then we're gonna get into Micah Parsons flaking after we talk about this. After we go with some fantasy names I like. Fantasy names I do in fact like for this week. The first one, Robert Tanayan. I think he's like kind of that number one target for the Green Bay Packers at that point. Hold on. Let me make sure. I have him in my lineup here. Let's see what they're projecting him to do. Because without Devontae Adams, it just seems like, hold on. I gotta pull up my other league here. Wait, what do I have him in this league? Hold up. I'm in two leagues, Sometimes I get my teams confused. All right, there it is. All right, cool. They're projecting to get 10 points. I literally just moved Robert Tanayan to my starting lineup as we're doing that. They're projected to give him 10.5. I think it's going to be more than that. I expect him to have a good game against the crappy Bears. Nyheim Hines is another interesting one I saw on Twitter, and I was like, what? But the Colts, they are lacking weapons this week. They don't have, receivers due to injuries. And Nyheim Hines can kind of get out of the backfield and kind of spark that passing game. So I wouldn't be shocked if he had a good game. Josh Allen against the Titans, that's kind of a safe pick. Jalen Hurts, another safe pick right there. I always, gotta say, A.J. Brown, that could be another one that you go with. I don't think you start, Kamara's out this week, by the way. That just broke an hour ago if you haven't saw that. Kamara's out this week, Alvin Kamara for the Saints. Players Any Cardinal player, I don't think they're gonna. Who are they even? Hold on. Who are they even playing? I just don't have faith in them. Cardinals week 2. Arizona Cardinals week 2. Raiders, yeah, that's probably gonna be a butt whooping. I didn't even put that. We need to pick that game too, but yeah, definitely. I think Robert Tanian's gonna have a big game. Cooper Kupp, I think is gonna have another back-to-back big game. Same with Devontae Adams. So those are just some guys that I like this week. Tyreek Hill is another. Jalen Waddle. Both the Dolphins guys could be liable options. I'm trying quarterbacks for tomorrow. Like all the top quarterbacks for fantasy played in prime time. Lamar Jackson's another one that I think is gonna have a pretty solid game against the Dolphins. That's another shootout situation right there. Nick Chubb is another one to watch out for against the bum ass Jets. Yeah, that's one to watch out for. Saquon Barkley. Can he make it 2 in a row? I think he can. Joe Burrow is definitely having a good game tomorrow against the Cowboys. Same with Jamar. Like that, I definitely go for a Bengals player, and I'd go Bengals defense too. I mean, Cooper Rush isn't really that good, and the Cowboys aren't really that good. I'd also look at the Rams defense as they play the Falcons. Also, look at the Browns. They're playing the bum-ass Jets, so look at their defense. Raiders defense. I'm giving you a bunch of guys I like. I'd stay away from Deebo Samuel, even though I'm starting him in one of my leagues. It's risky, but if you have like a for sure play, I mean, with Trey Lance's uncertainty, Deebo Samuel's a guy you might want to think about benching if you have somebody better. That would be. Try to think who else. If you have CD Lamb on your lineup, don't start him either. Zeke, don't start him. I don't think. I also I think that Derrick Henry against the Bills, I think the Bills could rock him. I mean, they were rocking the Rams. He still got a solid enough game, I think. But it's something to look at when looking at when evaluating your fantasy teams for this week. It's something to look at. All right, Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. Now, this is such a funny story. Oh man, this is so good. Micah Parsons, man, ghosted Undisputed with Skip and Shannon because he was not happy with his Cowboys loss, and he said, there's work to be done. The question here is why? I mean, bro, it's an interview on Undisputed. I mean, your season hopes are kind of thrown out the window, Micah Parsons, and you weren't even at fault for the Cowboys loss. Personally, I just think Micah Parsons, he's kind of douchey. He gives me a little bit of that douchey vibes. Great player, but he's kind of, he gives me those vibes. I mean, it's such a funny story because, I mean, he was probably scared of the backlash. I mean, the Cowboys have been getting absolutely just hammered by people on social media. Like, they are getting just roasted on. Like, so I think, especially with that embarrassing performance, even though he wasn't blamed, I just don't think he wanted to kind of put himself in that situation, which is like, bro, you're an NFL player. You committed to it. And you're doing weekly appearances on Undisputed. So what are you going to do? Every time the Cowboys lose, just like, no, Skip, I can't come on. And you know me, I'm not the biggest Skip Bayless fan or Shannon. I mean, I'm not really a big Undisputed guy. But this is just like, bro, come on. I mean, you committed to it for this year. I mean, losses are going to happen. It's not, come on, dude. For real. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. Get me on Twitter at EmmettNoC04. How long have we been going at this for? Let's see. We've had a good show today. We're gonna hold on. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. I haven't kept up with this game, but like 20 minutes ago, right before I hopped on here, actually it's probably longer than 20 minutes ago at this point, but a while ago, the Iowa Nevada game has been in. It started at like 4:30 or 4 o'clock Pacific time, and they've had like 3 weather delays. How about that? I mean, how? I mean, come on, man. Really? That's just crazy. We're gonna get to picks in just a couple of minutes here, but I want to dive into a more serious story. Robert Sarver, owner of the Suns, man, was apparently just, he's using really horrible language, really bad, like racist stuff, saying slurs, all that, just not being a good guy. Player, the owner of the Phoenix Suns and all of this, they were like, all right, you could stay owners, but obviously people aren't liking that. So the question, and it's tricky because I don't think like this guy has you're an owner, but like he has a pretty big amount of power. I mean, he really does, man. And you hate to see it that way because what he said was terrible and should not be said, especially when you're in that big of a authority position like a owner or something like that. And Adam Silver just did not do a thing about it, and it looked. He could get canceled or could get ended. Cancel's not the right word. He could get let go of his duties, fired. He could have to sell the team. NBA players and sponsors are not happy with it. LeBron James spoke out against it. Steph Curry, like all these, a lot of players are not happy with the way the NBA handled this because, like, come on, man, they keep handling stuff like this like crap. Adam Silver is handling it like just pure garbage. So I don't blame them for getting mad. But hey, man, I just think something needs to be done about this. You can't. Yeah, fine, whatever. But like, really, dude, you can't be saying this stuff, man. You're an owner, bro. The NBA too. That's making you look bad. Having somebody who is saying all these horrible things. It's just when you have kids watching and all of that, it's just not a good look. You don't want. It's just really not. All right. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports. Enough serious stuff. All right. Let's go to more fun stuff. I don't like to talk about guys saying the N-word. But I feel like I had to talk about it. I just think the NBA is handling it like crap, and they need to handle it better. The guy is saying horrible things. Multiple times too. That's the craziest part about all of this. Multiple times he said the word. So we're gonna see how that one plays out. I'll probably have more in depth. I'll probably go way more in depth on it on Monday. If that was a little awkward, I just don't think the guy should be. It's pretty messed up. But we're gonna go more in depth on it. Probably later in the week, actually. But hey, man, there's another NBA story that I'm saving for a couple more days because this is kind of more of an NFL episode. So, but let's get back into some picks here on Blindside Sports. Get back into talking about some games and previewing. All right, we are like 11 hours away from first kickoff on Sunday. The next game here is going to be another really good one. Dolphins and the Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 3.5 in this one, and the over/under is 44.5. I think. I think we're going over, and I'm taking the upset. This is going to be another good game. It's none of these games are gonna be blowouts. I don't like that so far that we picked. I mean, well, there's one down the road. I think next pick or pick after that's gonna be a blowout. But I think the Dolphins are gonna come to play in this one. I think Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, they're gonna be a scary threat all year, especially with Raheem Mostert at running back. Like the Dolphins have a very good roster along with the Ravens, but the Ravens keep having these offensive line issues. I don't know how bad it's gonna slow down Lamar, because Lamar is hungry and he's playing for that contract. He's in a contract year, but this is gonna be another very close game. I don't think it's gonna be a shootout, but there's gonna be some offensive plays that are for sure being made. I think it's gonna come down to the final game. Expect Tua to have a pretty solid game. I think Lamar's going to probably be the better quarterback, to be completely honest with you. But I still think the Dolphins are going to pull off the upset by 3 with a 24-21 score. Taking the spread, man, and the upset. 24-21, and that is the over, barely. We've had 2 games where it's either barely over or barely under. How about that, right? We've already done. Sorry, I was talking to myself there. I had about the already done thing. Like I have notes, and I didn't go in order this time. I just wrote down everything I wanted to talk about. I don't know why. It's just the way my brain works. But Commanders Lions. The Lions are actually favored by 1. How about that? Wait, hold on. That doesn't seem right. I think that who's favored in the Lions game? Yeah, okay, it is. All right. Lions are favored by 1, and the over/under is 48.5. This is gonna be another good game. I mean, the Lions were balling against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Commanders are a worse team than the Eagles. I mean, I think the Eagles are actually a pretty good playoff contender. So I think it's gonna be more than a 1-point game here. I won't be shocked if it's by a touchdown. I mean, the Lions' offense is starting to seem like they're doing stuff right. I mean, Carson Wentz I think he's got a solid enough game, but the thing is, it's just man, that Lions' offense is hot. Like they definitely know what they're doing over there in Detroit. I mean, Chase Young, I think, in that defensive line. Oh, no, Chase Young injured. Hold on, I'm getting a little confused, but the offensive line is just the defensive line for the Commanders. It's kind of wild. I think that both these quarterbacks, I could see throwing a pick or two. It could be a little bit of a sloppy game. But the Lions have a very high-powered offense. Same with the Commanders. They have a good offense as well. It just didn't materialize as well as the Lions did last week. I mean, wouldn't be shocked. I mean, Jared Goff, he's probably gonna throw a pick. I feel like Carson Wentz is gonna throw a pick. I still think Jared Goff would be the better quarterback in this one. Give me the Lions by a touchdown and the under. 27-20. All right. The next game here on the picks is the Cowboys-Bengals. The Bengals are favored by 7. Over/under is 41.5. I'm not really going to go into depth on this game because this is going to be one of those games where I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's obviously all in favor of the Bengals. So, yeah. It's going to be a blowout. Not a good game, all right? Give me the Bengals 35 and the Cowboys 10. Like I said, it's not gonna be a good game. A Cooper Rush at quarterback compared to Joe Burrow. I mean, the odds aren't in your favor right there, bro. I mean, you hate to see it, you really do, but the odds are not in your favor. Blindside Sports, Emmett Douglas here. Why don't we get into a very competitive Thursday night football game as the Chiefs won 24-17 over the Los Angeles Chargers? In this one, the Chiefs offense, I mean, it wasn't as good as last week's Chiefs offense where they played the Cardinals and mollywopped them. it was still good. They it I don't think it was all right. They were struggling, but this game was so they almost lost this game. Justin Herbert throwing that pick six costed it. It really did. The Chargers play calling too, which we're gonna get into this in a couple days here with the guest. I'm not gonna say who it is, but he has some very, very hot takes. I wouldn't say hot takes. He's just a very a long suffering Chargers fan ready to come on here. But the thing is that with this game was the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert threw for like 300 yards. If like I still think like, oh, he was a better quarterback even though he threw that pick six. I mean, I think he was, but something that's weird to me is the Chargers are not setting up Austin Eckler correctly at all. He's like 75 rushing yards a season, 14 for 39. Yeah, 14 carries, 39 yards for Austin Eckler. I mean, and the thing is too is I think the Chargers offense has potential to be scary. They're without Keenan Allen, and Justin Herbert still pieced them up for 300 yards. But they need to get their run game going. They need to get their play calling with Lombardi and Brandon Staley. They need to get all of that figured out. They need to do that. That is very important that they get their play calling figured out. I mean, it's one loss. These division games, they're for NFL, like they're always weird. So like I'm not really tripping about the Chargers season. They dodged a bullet though. They really did, man. Justin Herbert, with about like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, took a shot to the ribs, and he looked very uncomfortable for the rest of that game. Grimacing in pain, just did not seem like he was vibing very hard. Seemed like he was not having a good old time over there up in Arrowhead. And it was very worrying because, look, man, that a rib injury, I mean, Drew Brees had a rib injury, and it sidelined him for a while. I mean, that's probably a bad comparison because Drew Brees is like 40 and Herbert's like still young. But still, like the rib injuries are not something to mess around with. So like we're all, I'm sure all of us Herbert fans and NFL fans were on the edge of our seats with this. And I mean, the Chargers dodged a bullet as it's only like fractured rib cartilage, which sounds a lot worse than it is apparently, because he's day to day. Herbert, just an update here. He did throw for 99 more yards than Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes had 235. Herbert had 334, but Herbert had that costly 100-yard pick six to Jalen Watson, which costed him the game. But my thoughts on the game, well, the Chiefs, I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They always have that good offense. They always have that flow going. But the main thing here is the Chargers need to get that play calling figured out. The Justin Herbert pick six, it was his fault. All right, whatever. It happens. He's still young. I mean, it's like it was one week 2 division game. I don't think it's gonna really set the Chargers back. I mean, they literally, if that pick never happened, they would have won the game. I mean, you hate to play the what if game, but it's his fault. But I mean, they're gonna reset. They got 10 days to recover. They're gonna come back with vengeance just fine. Edwards-Helaire had a good game also, and oh man, probably the best part about this game was the debut of Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on Amazon Prime, because people were not vibing with it because it was just very like crappily run. Like a lot of people didn't like Herbstreit's commentary. Like I didn't watch it through Prime. I have NFL Plus and all that, so I listened to it the Chiefs radio call, which, man, something about radio calls real fast here is you can tell when those dudes are just biased. You can tell because they just like the radio guys are so biased. It's hilarious. I mean, I don't really have an issue with it. I mean, they're literally Chiefs radio guys. Like, of course they're going to be biased, but it's just like Wow. Where was I go? Oh yeah, Herbstreit and Michaels. There's a lot of like technical issues going on with the broadcast. Obviously, Al Michaels is a legend, but there's a lot of complaints and gripes of Herbstreit not really adding too much analysis to the broadcast. It wasn't like his own stuff. He was just adding on to what Al Michaels was saying, and it, unfortunately, I mean, we saw the Apple TV Plus MLB Friday Night Baseball. That's getting lots of hate. The Amazon Prime after 1 week is getting lots of hate. Streaming, it's taken over it's taken over, but they need to, like, if these streaming services really want to take the W and really want their ways to be shown, they're gonna have to get their crap together with the broadcast, man. They really are. I mean, from the couple of the baseball games I've seen on Friday night for Apple TV Plus, not very good. It's one game, so I mean, maybe Herbstreit and Al Michaels can get it together, but like, apparently there's just a lot of stuff that just went on, like behind the scenes and all that. Like, there's a lot of technical issues and stuff like that. So that there's a bunch of work that needs to be done there. But I just think it's funny how both of these streaming service games, the Apple TV and the Amazon Prime games, have crappy broadcasters. All right, we have to bust out the trusty old phone here because I want to get in a couple more picks, and I completely forgot to put these on my radar. But before we get to this Packers-Bears game tomorrow, and this could be a complete overreaction, but I don't care. I really don't care. Disagree with me. It's a sports show. You're probably gonna be, bro, that's an overreaction. But I think if the Packers lose to the Bears tomorrow, it's not going to be good for them at all. Wouldn't be shocked if they lose to the Bears in a prime time spot. The odds of this are unlikely. If they lose to the Bears, it's just not good. But the odds, like, I don't really think it's going to happen. But if it does happen, then the Packers season, man, yeah, they're going to be, I think they're still going to be like a wild card, but it raises concerns that they lose to the Bears. I mean, the Vikings are, whatever. They're like actually a pretty decent team. But the Bears, if the Packers lose to the Bears, when I do my next show, there will be a lot more discussions to be had. They can't afford to start 0-2. But now let's get the favorite in this. Who's favored in the Packers-Bills game?
I don't have the odds for that one.
What? Oh. Who's favored in the Packers-Bears game?
I'm hearing that the Packers are favored to defeat the Bears by
10
10 points.
points. Ooh. They're trying to bait me. What's the over-under in the Packers-Bears game?
The Packers-Bears game is 41.5.
41.5. I wouldn't be shocked if this is more low scoring than we think it is. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to come back into week 2 with more. I mean, the thing is, too, with Aaron Rodgers is, I mean, they had the same situation week 1 last year. He played like garbage against the Saints. Like, I'm talking just doo-doo. And it didn't really matter too much because obviously Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. So but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back and have a pretty good game. I think the offense is going to be struggling. No, I won't say struggling, but they're not going to be as high fluent as they were last year. The defense is very good. I think they're going to riddle Justin Fields. I don't think there's going to be much offense at all against or for the Bears. I think the Packers are going to kind of primarily focus on their running game, and then have a couple of these throws, and Aaron Rodgers can make a couple of these plays that just advance things. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I think it's going to be 24-7 in favor of Green Bay. You're like, that's not that bad of a butt whooping. Like, compared to last year's Green Bay team, it probably been 42-7. But the way that Green Bay played against the Vikings, I mean, it was just wild. And this is a very crucial game for Green Bay, and I think they can pull it off. The last game I want to pick here before we get out of here is Bills-Titans. Who's favored in the Bills game? What's the over-under in the Bills game? Bills by 10, 47.5 over-under. This is actually the double header on our Monday Night Football game, which they're going on at the same time, which that is the stupidest thing. Like, it's like 4:15 and 5:30, I think. It's like you still have like one half of the other game to watch. Like, I don't know, unless you're a maniac like me and watch two games, but I mean, not everyone's like that. But this is gonna be a good game also. I think this is gonna be I think the Titans are gonna keep it closer than 10. I think I don't. There's just something telling me the time. I don't really have like a rhyme or reason, but Josh Allen is going to have a good game. Gabriel Davis is listed as questionable on Monday, so that could be something that could be an issue there. But I still think the Bills have the probably the best offense in the NFL at this point. I mean, let's be real. It's definitely the best in the NFL. Josh Allen's a stud. I think he's going to have another stud-like performance. Expect, I think, what the heck? Bro, some dude just honked a horn while I'm recording. Stephon Diggs is going to have a good game. I think it's going to be a very pass-heavy offense, that game for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen's going to have a field day. Go get him in fantasy, man. The Titans, they're just gonna. I think they're gonna have like their way of putting up points. I think it's gonna be, even though I said pick against Derrick Henry because of the Bills' defense. I mean, it's still Derrick Henry, so I think he's gonna have a couple of those plays, but not as many of the Derrick Henry explosive plays that we used to see and know and love. But it's gonna be a very, very close, tight game, 31-24 in favor of the Buffalo Bills. My name is Emmett Douglas. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Those are my picks for and fantasy situation for week 2. Obviously, these episodes are coming in a lot more frequent than they used to, and that's the plan. It's NFL season. Grind is on, baby. Go follow me on Twitter. I'll be posting clips of my picks over on TikTok and Instagram throughout the night tonight. So if you want to go see that or share it with your friends, go ahead. I need to figure out a way to maybe exclusive content over there on the TikTok and Instagram. Well, maybe we'll get into that. But yeah, go follow my socials. I put the @ in the description. So I put all my handles down there. So if you guys want to go give those some love, go do that. Instagram, Blindside Sports 00, TikTok, Blindside Sports 7, Twitter @ EmmettNosey04, Emmett EMMIT Nosey NOSEE. That's gonna do it for this episode. Deuces.